Well, thank you very much. Thank you for this long introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here to see all of you for this very, very important event. So dear family, friends, staff members and faculty, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the graduation ceremony of the MBA class of 2022 December Fontainebleau edition. I want, of course, also to welcome our graduation speaker, Dirk Leuten. Dirk actually has been a great supporter of the school and great personal supporter throughout my deanship in the last 10 years. So I'm really happy to have him here, share the stage with us. But of course, I want to welcome all of you, our graduates. This is a really important event. For me, it's a very also emotional event because this is my 10th graduation of the D class. And it's also the last one as I'm stepping down in August. So I hope that it will be really something, an important milestone for you as well. The most important thing that I want you to remember is that today is the beginning and not the end of your relationship with the INSEAD. I want to talk about this because you are the INSEAD of the future. You are the ones who will actually create the reputation for the school and make more people apply or come to INSEAD. So what is INSEAD? For the benefit of your family and friends who are attending here, just a very short review of where INSEAD is coming from. INSEAD started here in the Chateau Fontainebleau. On the right side of the spectacular staircase, there is a small room, which was the first classroom of the first class in 1959 of 53 students. The most interesting thing about the beginning of INSEAD was that it was started by Georges Doriot, who was a professor at Harvard Business School. He was French by origin. And Georges Doriot wanted not only to bring management education to Europe, but he wanted to create a special business school where people from all over Europe at the time, from Germany, France, Italy, UK, from everywhere, they get together and they build businesses together instead of fighting with each other, which, as you know, Europeans have been doing very successfully for centuries. In 1959, today, you look back and say Western Europe is pretty peaceful, but in 1957, when INSEAD was started, it was only 12 years after the Second World War. And if you go back and look at history, every 10, 20 years, there'll be a war somewhere in Europe. So it was quite an idealistic idea. And yet, yesterday, when we were having the graduation in Singapore, I saw with my own eyes how this idea actually took hold and how actually it creates a special glue among the people who come to INSEAD. Your valedictorian was actually, Matthias was talking about how some countries are separated in red and blue by political scientists, whether they align with US or with China or Russia. And he said, we don't want this. We have friends, whether they're blue or red countries and so on. We want to be together, we want to work together. And that was the idea of Georges Doriot more than 60 years ago. In the following 60 years, the school has been very successful. From 53 students, today we are one of the biggest business schools in the world. We're the only truly global school with a campus here in Fontainebleau, with a campus in Singapore, with a campus in Abu Dhabi, and now also with a hub in San Francisco. There are so many things that were pioneered at INSEAD over these many years. One thing that I'm particularly proud of that we're associated with INSEAD is the focus on business and society. In 2018, we started the Hoffman Global Institute for Business and Society, where we actually do a lot of the things that you also are passionate about, as Urs was talking about, climate change and environment and development in Africa and so on. We are doing a lot of work, you're doing a lot of work, but I still think that we're moving very slowly. I am afraid that we are not moving at the speed at which we need to move. In 2013, I started as Dean on October 1st, here in Fontainebleau. And at that time, the idea, the talk about sustainability, inequality, climate change, all these things, they were already they were discussed, but they were not the front page material that they are today. And yet, today, despite the fact that we talk about this a lot, we face more challenges than ever before. challenges related to environment and climate change, challenges related to the devastating war in Ukraine, tensions between superpowers, social cohesion, inequality, and populism. Challenges that are coming from the implications from the new technology and the future of work. But to really understand this and to appreciate why we need to focus on it, why we need to address it, we actually need to go back in time. So 2,000 years ago, the average person on this planet did not have very high standards of living, high consumption level, basic food, basic shelter, clothing, and not much more. And the average lifespan was about 30 to 40 years. For the following 18 centuries, not much changed. In the beginning of the 19th century, in fact, average incomes have increased only by about 50%, so times 1.5 for the 18th centuries. And more importantly, lifespan was still 30 to 40 years across the world. And then something miraculous happened. Since 1820, there was a miraculous growth, industrial revolutions that propelled the world to increase its income by 15 times, only in 200 years. Lifespan today, as you know, has more than doubled compared to the pre-industrial revolution periods. So when I teach my macroeconomics class, of course, we go back, we try to understand what is driving these revolutions. But today, I want to focus on something else. We're experiencing the fourth industrial revolution with the advancement of artificial intelligence, machine learning, combination of physical and digital systems, and so on. But in this fascination, we often forget the byproducts that these industrial revolutions create. Environmental damage is pervasive, and more importantly, and we have to remember this, the economic progress of the 19th century made political, social, and economic systems obsolete. So they had to change. And they changed. Liberal democracies were born, but also we saw the birth of communism and fascism out of this industrial revolution. In the 19th century alone, the British Army fought in 34 wars. In one century, 34 wars all around the world, from South Africa to New Zealand to China, and of course, many wars in Europe. In 1848, Marx and Engels wrote the Communist Manifesto, which actually paved the way for the dictatorial regimes in the 20th century. I did live in one of these regimes until 1989. We had wars, 2 world wars in the 20th century, a Cold War, and so on. So today, our task is much bigger than I think we imagine, because not only we have to look back and say, what did we do wrong? How can we correct all these past mistakes and improve the state of the world and reverse climate change and so on? But we have actually to look forward and ask the question, what are the implications in the future of this industrial revolution, and how can we preempt all these negative dynamics? Because imbalances, if we do not address them, they will actually trigger some of these cataclysmic events. Let me actually give you a quote from Yuval Harari in his third book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So he discusses the same issues, and he says, the challenge posed to humankind in the 21st century by infotech and biotech is arguably much bigger than the challenge posed in the previous era by steam engines, electricity, and railroads. We cannot afford failed models as we did in the past. So today, when we ask ourselves, what can we do about this? We cannot wait and see what the outcome will be because it might be too late. That's why at INSEAD we started this idea of business as a force for good about 10 years ago. And business as a force for good, importantly, has 2 interpretations. So we have to be very clear, what exactly does it mean? The first interpretation is very simple, and I started talking about this in 2014. When you look at China in 1980, in China alone, there were 840 million people who live below the extreme poverty line of $1.90 a day. That is 85% of the Chinese population. Today, in China, extreme poverty is eradicated. Globally, a miracle has happened. More than 1.5 billion people have been lifted out of poverty. That has never happened in the history of the world before. At no point in time, in 40 years, so many people have been lifted out of poverty. And this happened not because of government subsidies or because of developmental aid from the World Bank. It happened because of one and only one thing, and that is economic growth. The only way to lift people out of poverty on a sustainable basis is growth. And the only engine of growth is business creation. If you don't have people organizing others to work, building factories, and so on, you don't have growth, you don't have reduction in poverty. Unfortunately, this interpretation, which is true, but I think we have to remember it, is not enough. Because we were patting ourselves on the shoulders and we're saying we actually contribute to the world in such a big way because we get all these smart people from all parts of the world. We train them, we give them skills and knowledge, and then they go back, create growth, and lift people out of poverty. It was not enough because the tensions between business and society were increasing. Actually, the public continues to increase its distrust in managers and CEOs. So today, we have to have a second, broader interpretation. The first one we have to keep as well, but the second, broader interpretation requires that in the process of value creation for the company, because you have to do this, you have to generate the profits, but in this process you have to think also what is happening to the society and to the environment as a result of your decisions. It is a much bigger task than what previous executives had to do. The good news is that a lot of the things that we take for granted, a lot of the things that determine our behavior are norms that can be changed. So we have to use our imagination and ask ourselves, what is the normal that we consider today normal that has to change? How do we view our business and society, and how do we have to change this? We, the society, want business leaders who not only create phenomenally successful companies, but ones that in this process create value for the society and maximize their positive social impact. We know that change is coming. We know that actually this will happen. The question is how fast and how much of a cataclysm this will be. If we address it earlier, it will be easier. So today, as you join our amazing alumni community, I ask you, our new alumni, to recognize the uniqueness of our school and its mission. If INSEAD is the business school for the world, I must ask each one of you to determine how you will make INSEAD your own. How will you contribute to making business as a force for good in the world? We are different business schools, mission-driven, strong values. We want the world to admire you, not only for what you have done for the bottom line of your company, but to admire you also for what you have done for society and the environment, which is a different way of saying what you have done for the future generations. Today is the beginning and not the end of your INSEAD journey. I'm asking each one of you to become a true ambassador of INSEAD and for what we represent in this world. INSEAD is about inclusion, diversity, tolerance, friendship. In the last few seconds or minutes, I would just want to say, what do we want to take forward from here? In my view, in today's world, one of the most important things is to continue to champion diversity because it is the key to strengthening individuals, businesses, institutions, and society. Of course, we also want to promote peace and prosperity for every individual, community, and country in the world. We are proud that you decided to come and earn your MBA at INSEAD. I have no doubt that the MBA class of 22D will change the world for the better and contribute much to the prominence of our alumni community and to our school, which now you can call your own. The world is facing incredible challenges. You acquired the knowledge, the tools, the skills to turn these challenges into opportunities. You'll be facing an uphill battle, but you have to win because you are INSEAD. You're not alumni now only, you're partners in this magical journey that we call INSEAD. Congratulations, thank you, and good luck, MBA class of 22D. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ilian, and please, you have listened well what your jobs are going to be for the next couple of years. Make us proud. It's now my honor to introduce you to our distinguished alumni speaker, Dirk Luyten, MBA22D. Dirk is currently Managing Director of Levante Capital and a member of the board of Levante Invest. He has more than 20 years of experience in strategic management consulting as a managing partner of Arthur D. Little and of Accenture. He's currently also chair of the board of the United Fund for Belgium, a non-for-profit organization aiming to increase social integration in Belgium. He's also a member of the board of Women on Board Belgium, a non-for-profit organization aiming to increase the number of women on boards in Belgium. He collaborates with Diversity and Performance, a consulting firm specialized in allowing companies to benefit from increased performances based on a comprehensive diversity and inclusion transformational approach. He's a member of the EXCO of the INSEAD Alumni Association Women in Business Club, and he worked and lived in Brussels, Madrid, Tokyo, and is now also partially based in Singapore. He has a law degree, a master's degree in economics, and an INSEAD MBA 89J. He also holds a number of certificates, which is interesting. That means like you can keep on coming back to INSEAD. He has done, okay, so you remember what you did? Oh, okay. Certificate in Leadership Excellence through Awareness and Practice, what's called LEAP. A certificate in Strategy and in the Age of Digital Disruption, and an advanced certificate in Corporate Governance. Please help me welcome Dirk back to INSEAD. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.